A very warm welcome to you all. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and visit our session today. My name is Sean Robinson. I'm one of the directors of License Dashboard, an organisation that has been around for about 20 years now. We have consistently developed license management and software asset management technologies that help organisations implement effective license and software asset management programs that ultimately help organizations control, manage, and protect their software assets. Today's session is called Software Asset Management Essentials, SAM Essentials, as we call it. This is a solution that we launched last year, a solution that has been very well received by many of our customers. Not only do our customers enjoy utilizing the product and services that we offer, but so all do our service delivery team. We find through the program that we have a great collaboration with our customers in delivering the SAM solutions that you require. So today's session will be give you an insight to what Software Asset Management Essentials does, how it works, and what are the business benefits and the value of subscribing to such a service. We're pleased to announce, as a result of the launch of our service last year, we have been shortlisted on the ITAM Review Excellence Awards for 2021. We were shortlisted for ITAM Technology or Service Innovator of the Year, which we're very proud of. Obviously, our products and services have been recognized as a true effective solution for managing and innovating the management of your ITAM assets and licenses associated to that. So we're very proud of that, and we're looking at and hopeful that we will win this award going forward. So looking at what the SAM Essentials addresses, obviously in today's busy environment, many organizations are looking to optimize their costs, ensuring that they're managing their IT assets effectively, that they know where those assets are, who is consuming them. And this becomes even more challenging in today's environments because many of the assets now don't reside on the network, they could be in the cloud. And obviously many organizations in the last 2 years have significantly accelerated their transformation into the cloud. As a consequence of that, many organizations are now looking to evaluate whether the costs associated to that transition are managed, and if there is opportunity to reduce costs, then many organizations are exploring how to do that. In addition to that, obviously, licensor management is still very critical. There's complex license agreements, contracts, many organizations acquiring and continuing to acquire licenses. But obviously, these licenses are also transitioning into the cloud. There's many additional benefits associated to these licenses, and it's important that you fully understand the rights to use, but more importantly, making sure that you're controlling the costs associated to that and only acquiring the right number of licenses, or making sure that you're assigning the right licenses to the right usage, and maximizing also those costs in the cloud where hybrid rights maybe can be assigned, and obviously further reducing your software costs within the cloud. So many organizations are continually looking to that optimization. In addition to that, many organizations are looking to mitigate their risks associated to the software that they've deployed. They're wanting to ensure that they have clear insight and business intelligence, data reporting capability to understand where those risks are and identify those risks, and making sure that you can mitigate those risks by either removing over deployed software, where making sure that the licenses are required to cover the software that's deployed. But as I said, more importantly now in the cloud, what we need to do is ensure that we're reducing the costs where we possibly can, with the ability now to use things like Azure reservations to further reduce your costs, hybrid rights, making sure that you're utilizing licenses that you've acquired and assigning those in the cloud so that you can reduce your costs going forward, and making sure that you're constantly right-sizing your compute and your contracts to ensuring that you're only purchasing what you actually need. And having the ability to continue to track and monitor that on an ongoing basis is really important. So the true essentials of software asset management today are managing those two equations. And many organizations have already made investments into software asset management tools to help, to help manage and control those environments. But what we're finding is that many organizations who relied on the technology to resolve the issue have now come back and looking at this and saying that they're not really getting that value from the tool, because either they haven't got the skills to do so, to interpret the data that the tools are providing, or they're just not getting the support where necessary to really sort of drive those cost optimizations going forward. In addition, the software asset manager continues to have frustrations. His main challenge is making sure that you implement a software asset management tool that really helps an organization control and manage those. But most organizations fail to implement the technology effectively. It takes an immense amount of time in ensuring that you onboard that technology properly, that you've discovered every single device that's on your network, and that all of the license entitlements, the proof of entitlements, the contracts are entered into the system as well, and that the licenses are assigned to the actual software that's deployed. And now with things like on-premise data center, SaaS, and cloud, this becomes even a bigger nightmare for the software asset manager. And what usually happens is that the software asset manager experiences poor coverage from the tool and doesn't really get the confidence in the tool that they'd hoped. And they're always expressing that they're not getting to the value quickly enough because they're spending too much time on the administration of the tool and constant implementation of those tools. We've seen some people who have acquired licensed software asset management tools take up to a year just to deploy the agent across the network. In addition, we find that when they're utilizing the application, there's a lot of frustration in how to maintain the platform. And as a consequence of that, we find that some people will become so frustrated that they forget or don't bother managing the actual system effectively on a day-to-day basis, and very quickly the data within the tool becomes out of date, and in some cases the product that they've acquired that they had hopes would really manage their software asset management it sometimes ends up as shelfware, and the investment that's been made by the business has been wasted. In addition to that, the software asset manager has to be a license expert as well. The licensing is so complex. There's so many different license contracts and terms, so many different metrics, models that the software asset manager has to manage. And this just gets increased by the multiple different platforms that the software asset manager now is responsible for. And, the tools may continue to further develop their capability, but the complexity of the license doesn't get any easier, and then trying to manage that within the system is not always easy. There's a massive learning curve for many to try and really get to grips with the licensing within the technology. And obviously the advanced platforms that also bring an immense amount of complexity things like SAP, Oracle, and and other platforms we find continue to be a real difficult thing to complete. And as a consequence of this complexity, we usually find that within the SAM tools, there's a lot of inaccurate data. There's data that's incomplete, and not all of the records are there, and not all of the data requirements for managing the compliance and managing the costs are not always available. Very quickly, the SAM software asset manager becomes very disillusioned by the tools and finds a lot of loss of confidence in the outcomes that it's providing, and with that uncertainty and concern is not willing to share a lot of the information within the business, and stakeholders are putting a massive demand on the SAM manager to really provide this, and as a consequence there's a build-up of anxiety and stress in the SAM manager in trying to deliver what it should be a very straightforward report to a stakeholder who's requesting that information. And as obviously the SAM manager also now has to meet the demands of the business, the SAM manager is more and more has been put on the shoulders of these individuals, not only to look after internal requests and demand, but also external from vendors requesting audits, looking at ensuring that renewals are done on time, and and they should be done so in an informed manner with data that's accurate and complete to help make those decisions and determine exactly what the renewal should be. Should we downsize? Is there a good way of right-sizing these agreements and things like that? And without that data, it becomes near impossible, and many just renew based on the recommendations of the vendor, which not always is right for your organization. In addition, more and more organizations are now demanding that it's not always just about compliance, it's more now about making sure that we put good governance in place and managing the costs associated to the licensing, and also now the cloud, and making sure that we're only spending money on what is actually required, and making sure that we've right-sized all of our agreements, that we've not got underutilized software deployed in the environment, that we've got software that is fully active and being used all the time. So there's a massive demand on making sure that the SAM manager is able to give confidence to the business that every penny that's being spent is a penny that should be spent. In addition to this, risk mitigation, constant understanding and awareness of where the risks are in the business and managing those risks, making sure that if software is over deployed or is doesn't have enough licenses acquired, or where the software that's now been hosted in the cloud is correctly right-sized and is being utilized effectively. The SAM manager really now has an incredible amount of demand on him to ensure that those are done properly. And as we transition quickly, the acceleration and the innovation of the vendors within the industry, so important now that businesses are adopting the latest technology to deliver the greatest value to their customers. And as a consequence, that the SAM manager is put under immense amount of demand in making sure that where the technology is transitioned quickly, that the licenses and the spend associated to that is managed effectively. So, the outcome that you would expect is, to reduce your financial exposure, making sure you're only spending on what you require. It's so critical now that you be able to negotiate those renewals, and without the right set of data, you're not going to be able to do that. So it's so critical that the SAM manager has everything at his fingertips as and when he requires it. Reducing excessive spend, we find now within the cloud, the speed in transition and the speed of provisioning new services and resources in the cloud, it's so critical now that the business is able to manage those and put effective governance around them to ensure that they're only spending what they require. And if there is underutilized or oversized resources, we need to make sure that we downsize those and maximize the investment that we're making. And on constant, with regards to risk mitigation, we need to make sure that we know where our exposures are, and we make sure that we resolve those and mitigate them as quickly as we can. But we also want to make sure as we transition quickly, we really want to ensure that we're getting good return on our investment. So there are immense amounts of challenges associated to that software asset manager at the moment. And there's a lot of technologies out there at the moment, and a lot of organizations already adopted some sort of capability. And on most occasions, we find that most have found it difficult to get the value that the organization really requires. So what we did was we worked very carefully with and quickly with a lot of organizations, a lot of customers that we already had. Those customers that had already bought our technology, we got an immense amount of feedback from them. We did surveys to understand, the challenges that they had and how could we address them, and how could we address those challenges that we've just outlined very quickly. And what we learned was that, many organizations who had installed our technology, the problem which they had was time. They didn't always have the time to get the software, the licenses all onboarded quickly and start reaping the benefits from the capability of the application. In addition to that, a lot of the individuals didn't have the necessary skills, not just the product skills, but also the licensing skills. And so once the data was actually put into the system, and once they got to a position, they found it difficult to interpret the detailed reports that we provided. Even though our system provides guidance in what actions you should take, one of the things we found was that not always was it easy for them to interpret those and act upon them effectively. So they weren't, you could see that we were telling them that they could make a significant saving, but they didn't know how to act upon that quickly and recognize that saving. So what we did was we started to review how we could resolve and what service we could actually provide to enable this to happen. The service that we have provided is called SAM Essentials. And basically it's made up of product plus enablement and support. And what the idea is that what we do is we help implement the platform, the license manager that manages the life cycle of all of your software. It interfaces directly into your inventory tools that you've already made investments in. And what it starts to do, it starts to look at the compliance, the risks, but it also starts to look at how we can optimize the costs associated to what you've got deployed or consuming, both on premise and in the cloud. The technology is implemented, and we do this in collaboration with the company. We ensure that the company appoints what we call a SAM owner. The SAM owner is going to be the primary individual who's going to be responsible for managing the SAM Essentials program once it's implemented. This individual works very closely with us and with our team as we onboard the technology, and through that we pass on our skills and best practice to that individual. In addition to this, we help the organization onboard all of their past history, their past purchases, their contracts, and we make sure that we onboard that and add the correct data into the license manager tool. And we do that in collaboration again with the SAM owner, ensuring that they're fully understanding what are the key requirements for maintaining and managing your SAM program. In addition to this, we provide a detailed personal development plan for each SAM owner. This gives in-depth guidance in best practice for software asset management. It activates license management, license training. So we give detailed training on how to manage an IT asset management environment, how to ensure that you get the right skills for managing licenses, contracts, and agreements. Even training in what to do and how to best respond to external audits or demand internally on software asset management reports and things like that. And then what we do is we ensure that we continue to mentor that individual as we hand over the keys to that SAM owner, who will then start to take responsibility for managing the platform. And that's mentor, that SAM specialist will remain on call to you as you go through and utilize the technology throughout the life cycle of the agreement. And this allows you to call up when and as and when you require help. But not only that, we also ensure that on a regular basis, we check your progress and we check the work that you've done, the maintenance of the application, and making sure that you're maintaining that effectively and verify the accuracy of the data. This obviously makes sure that all of the challenges that you were faced and all the ones we outlined can be rectified through this type of program. So product plus enablement really ensures that you are able to gain value from our solution quickly and also be reassured that you've always got someone there to assist and help you. So the main platform, as I mentioned, is License Manager, and many have been using this for over 20 years. It's a powerful but yet easy to use product. As I mentioned, it already interfaces into existing inventory solutions. 9 times out of 10, we find most people interface this directly into SCCM or into other tools like Snow, Landsweeper, and we have over, like I said, 70 different solutions that we interface. And in today's environments, it's not just about managing the inventory data, but we need to also interface into the data center, looking at the hypervisor tools. And obviously, we have tools that directly interface into VMware. In addition to that, as we're now looking at SaaS-based solutions, and particularly things like Microsoft 365, we have connectors directly into the Azure environments, making sure that we transpose all of that data into the tool. This means that all of the data that's available within your organization is then made available within our tool. And then from this, you add your license entitlements and assign those within the system. And then from there on, this will then help you in and provide the rich, powerful BI reports that you require to make informed decisions. So really powerful platform, something that's been around for many years and is in its 12th release. So a fantastic tool to proceed with. But as I said, in addition to that, it's more about the training that we provide, that personal development, making sure that you get all of the necessary skills to ensure that you can adopt our technology, you can use our technology, you can interpret the results within there. So we help you implement that technology, initially set it up for you, on board and reconcile and get to compliance positions for the vendors that you've selected to manage going forward. We work very closely in collaboration. You as an individual can shadow all of the work that we initially do. We provide training. We have online training. We have academies in which you can access all of the information about how to use the technology. But more importantly, as I said, it trains you on licensing and software asset management best practice. The personal development plans, in my mind, are probably the most effective and help you considerably to really adopt the application and the capabilities which we provide. But more importantly, we also assess how well you're progressing, and as a consequence of that, you know, we check and validate on a quarterly basis how you're progressing and provide additional training if you require. We review the work you've done and look and see whether improvements can be made, and verify and validate that that's the case. And during the lifetime of utilizing this service, we also provide additional guidance where there could be questions internally made, where you may need some guidance and expertise on how to best resolve or respond to those sorts of questions. So again, on call at all times, that SAM specialist that's working in collaboration and fully understands and is fully aware of your environments and the challenges you're faced with. So in addition to that, as you progress through your personal development plan and the self-paced training, you then get access to industry recognized qualifications. As you progress through that personal development plan, our SAM specialists will be informed from the plan whether you've achieved a certain score. And as you achieve that certain score, you then get qualifications in which are recognized across the industry. And obviously it sort of validates and to your business and to the managers within your business how you're progressing as a SAM manager as well, and gives you some sort of guidance on the skills that you've acquired and being able to demonstrate that back. But like I said, through these regular process and these meetings, we can help where you're struggling and further improve that training so you can really accelerate your understanding on that going forward. The personal development plan is very interactive. Basically, we will provide you with a personal plan. So if there's a number of you engaged in the SAM program, each individual will get their own plan. And as you can see here, this is just a screenshot of part of that plan. You can see who your SAM specialist is, when the program started. It shows you as well how you're progressing through the SAM Essentials program. As you can see here, there are a number of different qualifications that you can earn as well throughout that life cycle. In this case, you can see this individual is progressing through the first part of the personal development plan, and you can see where they are within the score. And as we go through, we can look in detail where we can help you as an individual improve those particular areas. So very interactive engagement, but more you can see very clearly where you're progressing and where you need to do more to achieve your own personal goals as well as the businesses. So the qualifications that you can achieve, and we work in partnership with the ITAM review. There we utilize their training programs for licensing. Lisa is a well-known training on a self-paced training program, which we fully integrate with. And obviously with our own licensed dashboard academy, we're able to evaluate your progress through that. And as you can see here, the first year usually most individuals will achieve a SAM analyst qualification. In the second year, they're likely to get to a SAM specialist, and in the third year is more around a SAM practitioner. So you know, this one at the beginning is all about managing and onboarding and managing the environment. The SAM specialist is the ability to interpret the reports and make informed decisions on behalf of the organization and drive cost and management, cost optimization. And SAM practitioner is someone who has full experience and knowledge across the whole software asset management lifecycle, and is able to implement the processes to really drive forward an effective program within their organization. So, and it's a good incentive as well for you. It gives you a good measurement of how you're progressing, but also with the business, they can see how they're progressing as well through the personal development plans. They can see exactly how much of the program is being onboarded and where they are within that cycle. So ultimately, the benefits of this is that, you know, we're looking to implement a SAM program that is very quick to implement, and you know, gets you to the value as quickly as we possibly can. We find with most organizations who acquire and subscribe to the essentials are up and running you know, with the technology in a few weeks and starting to recognize significant savings within around about 4 weeks. Thereafterwards, you know, it's all about then acquiring the skills to even further improve that outcome, and ultimately, you know, it's not all about speed of value, but it's about getting the skills and the experience necessary to sort of become completely independent, and you taking full self-control of your own SAM program, and not relying on other third parties to support and help you with that. It's all about getting the skills that you're requiring and becoming fully enabled in managing your own destiny, if you like. In addition, because of the way that our application works, it ensures that you focus on not only managing the program, but more so on what are the risks and opportunities your business have. So because you've been able to onboard quickly and you've got access to the SAM specialists, they can help you focus on the areas that you need to prioritize. And that is not just on removing costs, but also looking at what the opportunities to increase your return on investment. Things like Microsoft 365, you know, many organizations are already tied into a 3-year cost program agreement. So what we need to look at is how can we make sure that that investment we've made is giving you the greatest return and increasing productivity and giving a greater experience to the end user, and making sure that they're getting all of the necessary support that they require to really adopt the new technologies that they're utilizing. In addition, through mentoring and guidance, you know, you're not on your own. You're always getting support from someone who has the experience and the knowledge. And if there are programs, products, platforms that are very unique, for example, SAP, Oracle, and IBM, again, you can call upon our experts to support and help you with that onboarding and making sure that you're getting the necessary knowledge and expertise as and when you're onboarding those types of platforms. And I think, you know, obviously through the personal development plan, you can always monitor your progress and understand exactly where you are and demonstrate that back to the business as well, making sure they realize how well you're performing and how well the program is being adopted within the organization, and tracking and monitoring the savings that your organization are achieving on a regular basis. And, you know, also with the SAM specialists constantly reviewing and certifying your progress and validating that the data that's within the tool on a regular basis gives you greater confidence in the outcomes that you're providing back to your stakeholders, and making sure that, you know, they're also you know, having confidence in making decisions based on that data that you're providing them. And again, you know, if there are concerns and further discussions are required to really understand that data, again, you can call upon that expertise as and when you require. And obviously, everything that we're built, everything that's been, you know, that this is delivered on a world-class platform. You know, Gartner recognise our technology as one of the leading software asset management tools. We are slightly different than many of our competitors, where we're not solely reliant on deploying a discovery tool across all of the assets within the organisation. What we do is we look to exploit the existing data sets that are already available within your organization. So the speed in which we can implement this technology can be done overnight, and the connectors to the existing data sources can flow immediately into the tool. So this is why within the SAM Essentials, we're starting to get access to that information quickly. And if we've not got confidence fully in one single data source, we can merge data sources together and make sure that we enrich that that data that's in our tool, making sure that if there are any gaps, we fill those and improve the quality of that data as we're moving along. And with obviously you then being able to maintain the license records within the tool, and the license records then automatically being assigned, you're always in complete control of that compliance position. And from that compliance position, you can then really make informed decisions back to the business, which is what is critical. From all of our organizations who have subscribed to this, all of them have expressed significant benefits from utilizing this service. Not only many have turned around and said that this was the fastest way to implement a software asset management program within their organization. Many have already made significant investments into inventory solutions, but were failing to get to the value. Within weeks, we were able to just plug in our tools and provide the expertise you need, make sure you've got the training so that you can quickly get access to the information and make those informed decisions. And this is in weeks, not months. So the outcome is really good. In addition, all of our staff love working and becoming part of your team. You know, they're able to better support you. You know, many tools that you acquire have help desks, but many only support the functionality of the application. Our help desk and our SAM specialists know your environment. They know your data. They know the risks that you have. They're able to look at how they can help mitigate those. We provide, you know, we can help to ensure that you're maximizing the opportunities as well. So if there is opportunity to save money, avoid and reduce expenditure, they're there for you. So it's a much more proactive team of that is there to with a willingness to engage and work with it. And all of our SAM specialists are, you know, are prioritized to ensure that you are getting great value. So they have a massive interest in making sure that you're successful. And so where they feel, if you feel that you need more support, they will personally get engaged and help you with that, because they're motivated to do that, because they're judged on the success of your progress. Because obviously we can see the SAM, you know, the management can see the progress that you are making as a business, and if it's not exceeding properly, then that's down to the SAM specialists making sure that they're providing you the necessary support. So we've got a really you know, a really powerful platform here with great support. So the way that you acquire the technology, you know, it's very flexible. You know, as I said, it is a product plus enablement. So what we look at first is, you know, looking at what you're trying to achieve, what are your goals, and then mapping the most cost-effective and a form of payment plan to that requirement. You can see here we have 3 different plans that are shown here. we've got SAM Essentials to the power of 3. What does this mean? Well, this is this allows you, and will make sure that the license manager is deployed effectively. The technology is always deployed on premise, and the connectors that connect to the existing sources are all set up for you. They're all of this is done by our team initially with you shadowing, so we make sure that it's all implemented. What you then do is you initially choose 3 vendors that you want to initially onboard. And within those 3 vendors, we work in partnership to make sure that those are onboarded. You're not limited to 3 vendors. Thereafterwards, once we hand the keys over to you and feel that you're comfortable in using the application, you can add as many vendors as you wish going forward. And what we do is then on a quarterly basis, we not only update and check the 3 vendors that were initially onboarded, we also check to see how well you're progressing with the additional vendors within that you've added into them. We check those to make sure that you're doing that right and keeping on track and making sure that you are progressing well. And as you go through these health checks, we're checking your personal development plan, making sure that you are achieving your targets and your goals. And if not, then providing additional training and support to help you do that. And ultimately, the SAM specialists want to see you as an individual qualify as you progress through that service with us. Simply, the other 2 here, SAM Essentials to the power of 5 and 10, they're just the number of vendors that we initially onboard. You can pay for the service on a monthly basis, so we look at what the total cost of the service is over usually a 3-year period. In the first year, most of the costs for onboarding, installation, and training are invoiced in the first year, but in the second and subsequent years, obviously your costs reduce as you take on more of the responsibility. So this is a solution that ultimately over the years is slowly costing you less as you require less of our assistance and support. Obviously, we continue to check and validate on a regular basis, making sure that you're continuing to do that. Sometimes we find if someone, like for example, there's an illness within the team and they maybe have been off for a month, or there's long-term holidays or anything like that, we do have add-ons that are available to you as well. So where you're subscribing to the service on a regular basis, if you fall behind or maybe you need additional cover within your team, then you can call upon these add-ons and we can provide you with that assistance. So for example, one organization during the COVID period, they took absence for over a month. Their data became out of date, so they used an add-on for us to come in and just let them catch up quickly, and they're now then back on track with that. And so that support and guidance is always there and helping you ensure that you continue to utilize that service. So that's the end of the session. Obviously, I hope it's giving you a good insight to what the SAM Essentials program is. Before we wrap up the session, I was wondering if anybody has any questions. Feel free to add any questions into the chat if you prefer. But before we finish the session, is there any questions? Libby, have you seen any questions come into the chat?
Hi, Sean, we've had a couple of questions come in that we have responded and asked for them to come back to us via email.
Okay. So if there is no other questions, then what we encourage you to do is if you really want to find out more about this service and how it may help you drive that value that you're looking for, even if you've made investments into other inventory technologies and things like that and other solutions, please don't, please feel free to get in touch with us directly. You can get in touch with us either direct through our license dashboard. We have a chat function on there. We have an email address, info@licensedashboard.com. But if you personally want to get in touch with me and ask any questions, my email address is here. And also we also have a telephone number if you would prefer to contact us directly by telephone. The session has been recorded, and we'll make sure that this session is forwarded back to those who have attended today. And one final note, I'd just like to thank you for spending your time with us this afternoon, and I appreciate you giving up your time to come and find out about SAM Essentials. Thank you very much.